All right, ladies and gents. So this is part 2 of the alternate assignment for the lecture for January 18th. And in part 1, we did just a review of map scale and that sort of stuff. That should help you when you're doing that Moodle homework assignment. For this week, we're wanting to cover bearings and azimuths a little bit. Get started with that. And that'll help you when you're doing these two. Well, that's the maps, distances, and scales, and then the Moodle Homework 3, converting between bearing and azimuth. Also, in addition to what I am going to be showing you, I've provided you a couple of YouTube videos of somebody else showing you the same things. Describing degrees, minutes, and seconds, how to add them, and how to subtract them. We're not going to worry so much about the 5-sided traverse example. We'll look at that next week. So let me open this up. It's basically just a Word document, a PDF. And this is just kind of describing what direction is, okay? And what I've provided here is a kind of a compass rose with north always pointing to the top of the paper, south to the bottom, east to the right, and west to the left. It's usually how we orient maps. Okay. What I've given you here are both bearing and azimuth gradations on this. Okay, so north, just like in your hand compass, which is a bearing and it's in quadrants, it has 2 0 starting points. Okay, so I either read from due north and turn an angle to the east, or I start due north and I turn an angle to the west, or I start at due south, turn an angle to the east, or start due south and turn an angle to the west. So that's why when we describe a bearing, we have to say we have to write it in that format, because that tells us where we started from, either north or south, and then the angle that we turned into which direction. Okay, so again, that's the correct way that you would write a bearing down. An azimuth scale, basically, as you can see, goes from 0 all the way back up to 360, and 360 is exactly the same as 0. Now, how do I write a bearing? An azimuth direction? I would just write the number and then AZ behind it. Okay, I'd capitalize it. That way everybody knows clearly what you're talking about. Okay, so there's no north, east, southeast, southwest, northwest. It's just a degree from 0 to 360, with as at the end. All right, so it just goes in a clockwise direction from 0. All right, from due north. So 30, 60, 90 is due east, 120, 150, 180 is due south, 210, 240, 270 is due west, and then 303, 30, and then 360 or 0. You could say either one, or you could still call that due north. Okay, and again, with the azimuth, you could still call these due north, due south, due east, due west. Okay, but a lot of folks just write the number down. So in this case, this bearing is north 30 degrees east. Okay? This azimuth is exactly the same number. North 30 degrees. It's not, it's just 30 degrees azimuth. So in the northeast quadrant, take a look that bearing and azimuth are exactly the same number. Once you get past 90 degrees, azimuth keeps going up, bearing actually starts going down. All right, in this case, where it's south 60 degrees east for the bearing, the azimuth is 120 degrees azimuth. All right, instead of south 30 degrees west for the bearing, this azimuth is 210 degrees azimuth. And then instead of north 30 degrees west, that azimuth is 330 degrees azimuth. All right, so kind of important things to remember. Let's go ahead and see how, first of all, we're going to take a look at how you add and subtract degrees, minutes, and seconds, and then we'll go into converting between bearing and azimuth. Okay, so we'll spend a little bit more time doing that. But the first thing that's important to be aware of is that a degree unit is actually made up of 60 minutes. Okay, so on a compass there's basically 360 degrees. Okay, doesn't matter if you carve it up into 4 90-degree segments or one 360-degree circle. Every compass has 360 degrees on it. 1 degree, if I took a degree and sliced it up into smaller units, the units are minutes. Okay, just kind of like as in a clock. So 60 minutes makes 1 degree, and then the minute itself is sliced up into 60 seconds. Okay, so when you're doing the math, you're thinking really at more of powers of 60 rather than powers of 10. So, you know, with 10, if I get up to 19, then it clicks over into 20. And then, you know, so it goes into the next set of 10. All right. With degrees, minutes, and seconds, degrees goes from 0 to 360. It can't go any higher. There is no such thing as a 361-degree circle. It's just overlapping itself. But when I'm doing adding and subtracting of degrees, minutes, and seconds, I have to be aware that every time I click over 60 seconds or 60 minutes, I have to, it kind of resets that back to 0. Okay, so let's just take a really quick look. This might help explain that a little bit. So I've got a bearing that's 360, or that's 30 degrees, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. And if I add 1 more degree to it, what is the total angle? All right, or 1 more second to it. Well, so that 1 second, it adds to this 59 right here. That turns it into 60. So basically resets that. It becomes 0 instead of 60. And then it carries a 1 over to here. So that 59 is now 59 plus 1. And that's now 60. So that resets this to 0 and adds a 1, carries a 1 over to the 30. So basically 30 degrees, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds plus 1 second jumps the whole thing up to the next degree. Okay, so think about, you know, a slice of pie, right? And then I'm adding another little slice to it. I'm trying to find out what the angle is of both slices of pie. Okay, so we're not going to play with minutes and seconds in this class. I just want you to be aware of them, because when we start looking at topographic maps, they're actually 7.5 minute quadrangles. Okay, so I want you to be aware of at least what that term is, how, you know, what it's relating to, and later on when you all are taking the surveying course, you'll definitely be using minutes, maybe not seconds, but you'll be measuring in degrees and minutes. Okay, so let's go ahead and try some of these exercises. I'm going to go over here on this side so I can type some of these answers in. All right, so in this case, I've got 30 degrees. I got a 30-degree slice of pie. Okay, think about a wedge of pie, 30 degrees, and I'm adding a 1 degree, 55-minute slice of pie to it. So what happens? Well, this so the 5 plus 5 is 10. So I'm going to I'm going to get rid of that Right there. Okay, so 5 plus 5 is 10. The one gets carried over, right? So now it's 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 5, that's 8. So remember, every time I hit 60, I got to carry over. All right, so I hit 80, and I've got to subtract 60 from it. That's going to leave me 20 right here. Okay, so 20 minutes. And the typing's going to be a little bit weird. So now I have to carry 1 over to the 30 column. So that would be 1 plus 0 plus 1. That's going to be 2. And so it's basically 32. Okay. If I do it with adding seconds now to it, I wish there was a little bit easier way of doing this than typing it like this, but that's the way it goes, right? So 7 plus 6 is 13. I'm just going to put my seconds in there. So carry the 1 over. So that's 5 plus 1 plus 1. So now I've got 70, right? So 70 minus 60, it's going to have a 1 remainder on it, but it's going to carry 1 over into the minutes column. So 2 plus 1 plus 5 is 8. And then 3 plus 3 is 6. I can't have 68 minutes, so 68 minutes minus 60 is just going to be 8 minutes. And it carries the 1 over to the 59. Well, 9 plus 1 plus 0 is 9, or is 10. And that ends up being 50. So with the magic of hitting the pause button, I was able to go ahead and type those in and show you the correct answer here. So again, 7 plus 6 is 3, carries the 1 over. So 1 plus 5 plus 1 is 70. So basically this ends up being 73 degrees. And I can only go up to 60, so 73 minus 60 leaves me 13 right there. I carry 1 over. That makes that 1 plus 2 plus 5, that's 8 degrees. 3 plus 3 is 6. That would end up being 68 down here. I can only go up to 60, so I carry 1 over, and I leave that. I have a remainder of 8 minutes. So 1 plus 9 plus 0 is 10, and then I carry the 1 over. So that ends up being 60 degrees, 8 minutes, and 13 seconds. Okay, let's try it again on this one, just for fun. And so we got 5 plus 9, that's 14. And let me get rid of that underlying stuff. So we got 14. So carry the 1 over, that becomes 74. I'm going to subtract 60 from that. And so that's, I carry the 1 up over here, so 6 plus 1, that's 7, 8, 9. Okay. And then 2 plus 4 is 64. So 2 plus 4 is 6. So that ends up being 69. I can only go up to 60. So I'm going to carry 1 over. 9 plus 1 is 10. That's 15. So I'm going to have 5 here. Carry the 1 over, and that'll be 18. So 185 degrees. 9 minutes and 14 seconds. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take a break on that, and I'll see you in the next video.